Do you ever find yourself waiting for someone to give you an explanation and holding out for that moment so that you can have closure? Maybe for you that's a breakup, or maybe it's someone who's ghosted you, or maybe it's someone you care about who seems to be saying one thing but doing another. Or maybe you've been in a toxic or abusive relationship and you still see the good in them, so you can't seem to sufficiently justify that what they've done is big enough or a big enough reason for you to leave. What kind of closure have you been waiting out for? I personally actually experienced most of these situations in my lifetime, and it's probably the same for you too. It's like that time, or those multiple times, when I had feelings for someone, but they constantly ghosted me. And I didn't want to believe that they weren't interested, so I kept waiting out for that moment when they'd finally tell me, I'm just not interested. But that never happened, and that's because most people fear being that direct with others. So I'd fool myself to believe that they were constantly busy because that's what they were telling me. But really I was just avoiding the truth that was really spoken in their actions. When I started doing the deep inner work on myself, I would pick up on a lot of this more quickly and didn't give it the time of day in the way that I would have in the past. When you start to connect to your core values and believe people's actions above their words, then you really start to see things differently. Then for me, there were the times when I'd be around people who are toxic, or where the relationship itself was toxic or even abusive. As an empath, I, like many of you probably, have a tendency to always see the good in people. So I would become overly forgiving of others to the extent that I had no boundaries for myself. I'd accept what was happening with what they were doing and excuse their behavior. I knew that their behavior came from their own pain, and I empathized with that, which is a great thing. It's a gift that we all have, except that I ended up allowing myself to continue to be a target for that behavior, and being a target is not so great. When I got into the deep inner work, I began to acknowledge my own boundaries. And I realized that you can empathize with the pain of others, but still still be there for yourself, care for yourself, and have your own boundaries out of care for yourself. With realizations like these, I started to break that pattern in my life, and I saw people's actions as reasons to give me that closure that I really wanted. I stopped waiting for an apology or an explanation in order to provide myself with that sense of closure. I gave that closure to myself. And that meant that I no longer created expectations of others, and I no longer relied on them to provide me with the information that I needed to help me heal and move forwards in my life. I gave myself that opportunity instead. I helped heal myself, and I helped myself move forward. Think about it this way. What if the person's explanation is that you're not good enough? If you rely on their reasoning, then you risk adopting their beliefs as your reality. But you're the one who should get to create your own reality. Often the actions of others are actually pretty clear, even if their reasons are not verbalized. And this is where we often fall into denial, by awaiting and expecting an explanation. But really the behavior that's already been shown to us is evidence enough. And we sometimes don't truly listen, or we choose to be blindfolded just because we don't want to accept what is being said or done. This is a sign of expecting validation from others. When we rely on external validation, it actually makes us make poor decisions for ourselves. We just end up feeling completely empty. We end up living by the values of others and not our own. So create your own vocabulary for this explanation that you're seeking. Seek closure with explanation based on your values and your truth, not the one of others. Other people's explanations should never be satisfactory for you. So, can you think of a time when this happened for you, where you were awaiting an explanation so that you could get closure from something? What can you do differently now or next time moving forwards? Tell me about it in the comments. And if you want to take this a step deeper, I offer a free discovery call to each and every one of you. So you can book that via the link in my bio. I look forward to hearing from you.